Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer and I'm playing Assyrian Wars. Still in the first impulse round. Assyria, Mede, Egypt and Babylon have had their impulses, and now we'll see the first impulse of Elam. And they are already in trouble. The Assyrians, they are in war with Assyria, and the Assyrians have captured De-Luran. So we gotta figure out something to prevent them from conquering our country. Now, maybe that's a good time to explain how conquering a country actually works. Well, of course you can conquer a country simply by capturing all the cities. Then you've conquered it. Another way is you could do once per turn a conquer check. And to do a conquer check on a power, you have to control at least 5 cities of that power, or 3 cities, and one of these cities has to be the capital. So in this case, that would be Susa. And then, if you control the required number of cities, or better, even more, you count the cities you control. The capital counts as 2 cities, and then you roll a die. And if you roll equal to or less than the number of cities you control, then the country is conquered. If a country is conquered, the war immediately ends. They gotta pay you tribute, and you can choose a city you captured as a province. You're not allowed to choose a capital or one of these special wealthy cities here, but just a standard city. And then all your troops have to retreat from the country, and all the alliances that this specific country that you conquered had, they are finished, they go to 0. So that's definitely a big disadvantage if you get conquered, because alliances give you points and you will lose that all and have to build that up again. I think there is an additional modifier if you want to conquer a power. From what I know, you gotta add +2 to the roll or something. And yeah, but I'm not absolutely sure about that. We gotta check that. If you want to conquer a minor, you only have to capture 1 city, and there is no modifier. But of course, it's hard to do the check then. So it might be also a good idea to capture a few more cities before you try to do this conquest check. Remember, you can only try this conquest check once during a turn. And if you don't make it, well, the only way to conquer a country during this turn is by completely grabbing all the cities. But during the interface of the turn, there you have another occasion to do a conquest check. So in the end, there are basically 2 times where you can try to do it. Okay, now let's see what we can do about this. About this danger here. I think. Well, I'm not sure if I want to keep my army group card or not. The first thing I want to do is I also want to disband a unit. Oh, wait a minute. First we get an income of 8. Okay. So, fine. Then I guess I want to disband a unit, pay 4, and get an economic +1 marker. Ah, shit. Yeah, there we go. I think especially at the beginning of the game that's a very good investment. So we're going to place that down here. And yeah, now I'm thinking about selling my army group card. Not sure if I want to do that. It's hard to tell. I mean, if I can only defend myself anyway, and I probably will not have a real chance against the army of the Assyrians in open battle, I might as well sell the army group card for 4 points. And yeah, I think that's what I want to do. So I'm going to do that. So that gives me then 4 more points. And now we're going to see what card I want to play. Okay, we got here Cimmerian Truce. That's not a useful card at the moment at all. Cannot be played as an event before the second game turn. So I will play it for the points. Get the 4 additional points. So I got 12 points now, which is not bad. And yeah, what do I want to do with these points? Well, let's see. Do I have any more ships? Yeah, I got 1 more ship. I wonder if I can build a ship. Yeah, I think I will do that. So I'm gonna buy a ship for 2. Ships cost always 2. And place that here. If you construct a ship, it has to be placed next to a harbor. So this is Gazir, this is my only harbor. And now we have this fleet here. And I'm gonna pay now. I want to move that fleet, and you can move a fleet from a sea zone to an adjacent sea zone, but not into these deep sea zones. Only coastal only coastal sailing is allowed. And it costs you half a point to move a fleet from one sea zone to another one. You can also move a fleet into a trade box. This is these here, and that costs you 1 point per fleet to go there. The capacity of such a trade box is only 4 ships. We have 1 here, and we have 2 over here. For each, I think for each full ship you have in the trade box, you will get a trade point later on during the interface. So that might be a pretty good idea here. If this box is full and another guy wants to enter the trade box, he will have to fight you, and this won't conflict with any alliances or something like that. It's the same as the economic warfare here in this trade box, in the land trade box over here. So I'm going to pay $3, bring my ships in here, one buck. Okay, 1 action point. So, what next? Well, as I said, I'm thinking about improving my defenses. So I think what I want to do is I want to buy these, rebuy these units from the regroup box. A unit from the regroup box costs you 1 action point, no matter how strong it is. except for mercenaries, they cost you only half an action point. So I'm going to buy these two, the leader and also the bowman, for 2 more action points. Thinking about bringing this sucker to Zusa. I might use him as a bowman. I think I'm going to do that. And that would cost me... I played that wrong, by the way, in the last video. Moving cav or armies that only consists of cavalry costs you only half an action point per space. So I can move to Zusa with the chariot for 1 action point. Okay, there we go. And now we might hire some more units. Thinking, for example, about hiring these bowmen here, because if I want to defend a fortress, I think it's a pretty good idea to do this with bowmen, simply because during a siege, we've seen that the special abilities of every unit doesn't apply anymore, except for the bowmen. They gain a +1, so that's definitely cool. So I'm going to hire these guys, and they cost me both together 2 points, half a point per strength point, because these are only mercenaries. And by the way, if you ask yourself, hey, why are mercenaries so cheap, and why is there then an advantage to hire your regular units, there's a simple reason. I didn't explain that yet, and that is that mercenaries disappear after a turn. They simply go away, and the only exception is Assyria here. They can pay for their mercenaries in the interface, and then they stay on the board, but they have to pay them again. And the others, they have not even that option. The mercenaries will simply run away. But on the other hand, mercenaries are the only force you can hire if you're outside your territory. You can then place them directly on your force, and you cannot do that with regular units. Okay, so I wonder if I should maybe hire another bowman. We could afford 1 more bowman, I guess. We have 4 points left. So, well, this guy is too good, actually. We might afford this guy here. Yeah, and I think I want to do that. I mean, we don't have exactly great... Well, not so bad either. Let's see how many units are in this force. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Yeah, why not? I'm gonna hire a few more here, or 1 more. This guy, and then... Oops. Yep, there we go. So that means we've used all our points, and the impulse for Elam is over now. Okay, we continue with the impulse round. The impulse marker moves now to Phoenicia, and as you can see, there are no forces on the board. Phoenicia is not active because it's not at war with anybody, nor is it allied with anyone. Israel? Well, Israel is active. They are here in trouble. They are under siege. And they have only very little forces here. A bowman and a already weakened light infantry, so the chances are not very good here. Let's see where the cards are. Here we go. Okay, now this is Israel. We have a royal assassins here, And because Israel is allied with Babylon, Babylon can control them. They can choose which cards to play and what they should do. And by the way, Israel has an income of, I'm not even sure if they have an income. No, they don't. So they don't have a basic income because they pay tribute to Babylon and they don't generate much basic income. So if we want to play that card, for example, that would mean we would have to borrow action points from the next turn, but we will not be able to pay back the debt then. So that would then create negative income, and I'm not sure if I want to do all these things. Maybe there is a chance that Israel might become an ally someday. So if they generate negative income, they won't pay any tribute to me, and that's not very useful, I think. So I guess what I'm simply going to do is I'm going to I'm going to play that card for the points. So that gives now Israel 6 points. And we might consider now hiring some more units. The next turn, or in the next impulse, this hunger siege level will go up. And that means we'll have to do a sortie, or we'll simply will die. And well, it's hard to tell. And I think we cannot hire units in a city which is under siege. I'm pretty positive about that. So there is an option. I mean, I don't know, we could hire units at Megiddo and then try to help the other guys, but I don't see why I really want to do that. Hard to tell. It really is hard to tell what we want to do here. I have absolutely no idea, to be honest. Okay, I just realized I made a mistake with Elam. If it comes to regulars, it's true that each strength point costs, if you want to hire them, costs you 2 points. So these guys would have cost me 8 points, which is fine. I think I did that well, but each unit that has a special ability costs you an additional point. And because bowmen do have a special ability, that means they would have cost me 10 points. So in this case, I could not hire these guys. I had 8 points left. Now I had to think. I could hire maybe instead this guy here, who would cost me 6 points. And then I have to pay 1 additional point for the special ability, so that brings me to 7. And I could actually consider hiring another mercenary. And maybe some other guy is willing to sell me a bowman mercenary. I could think about the Egypt player, for example. I'm not sure if he really needs mercenaries. Well, yeah, I guess he will. And yeah, I don't think nobody else is willing to sell his mercenaries to me. So I guess I'm gonna buy this guy here for 1 more. And the light cav the light infantry has no special abilities, and and because it's a mercenary, it doesn't matter anyway. So now I'm at 0 with them, and that's fine. I'm still not absolutely sure what to do with these guys. I think I want to hire... Shit. Well, if I hire a unit, one of these 3 units, I could do that, but then I'm actually not able to do an attack anymore. So I'm really in a position that sucks completely. I'm going to be honest here. Still, I think I might want to do that. Yeah. Is that a black one? Yeah, this is an Assyrian unit, by the way. So I guess I'm going to hire this guy here. Don't know what else to do. But I don't know. Shit. So here's the thing. If I hire now this guy and place him in Megiddo, let's say well, I could do it. Yeah, why not? My thought was, if I then evade into Megiddo, and then Megiddo is captured, and I'm pretty sure I cannot avoid that, even with this garrison, I give the Assyrians an additional point, because a city, a level 2 city without a garrison, doesn't give a point if you capture it. But at the moment that if there's a garrison inside, no matter how bad it is, it gives the other guys a point. But I don't have to evade into the city, so therefore I could simply stay there and fight the battle, and because it's a single unit only, it doesn't give the other guy a point. So yeah, I guess I can do that. Okay, and now my action points are gone, and I don't see any more options for Israel, to be honest here. Okay, now we move on. Judah is not active, Syria is not active, but Urartu is. They are also in a lot of trouble here. Now let's see. What do I want to do? Well, I have the idea, maybe the best thing I can do is I move back into my capital, Tushpa, and that's a real stronghold. Defensive value of 4. It's a stronghold which reduces the attacker's strength by 1, and yeah, I think it might be a good idea to simply stay there. Now we have here these other cities. These are all level 2 cities, and if they are captured by Sargon, it doesn't give him any points. He might get a point for conquering the territory, but that's only a single point. If I try to place everywhere some units in the cities, he'll get another point for each city, and I don't want to give him that. So therefore, I think I simply want to maybe hire a few more units, place them in here, and I'm fine with that. Now let's see, what do we have here? We have a card, Babylon Market. That's not bad. As long as this card is in play, Babylon receives +1 economy level. That's a neat card. Elam actually controls Urartu. So they could help Babylon here. which is an option. On the other hand, well, I might actually do that. I think I'm going to do that. Okay. So, Urartu has an economy of 1. Okay. So that means they can play that card for the event. That costs 1 point. And, well, to remember that, I'm going to play that card here. When a Babylon city is conquered, put this card into the discard pile. Yeah, maybe that's not even so bad for Elam, because it might inspire the Assyrian player to try to conquer one of these Babylon cities first to get rid of this card. Okay, and in addition now, and that's also a new rule we have, the Urartu player can play this card here, because we have here this plus marker, and that means you can play this card in addition to another card. And the maximum number of cards you can play during an impulse is 2. You can also change a card for 3 action points into a plus card. So if you have 2 cards in your hand and you absolutely want to play them both, but they are not of this kind of a plus card, you can change one of them for 3 action points into one of these cards, and then you can play both cards. In this way, you can also actually gain a lot of action points by cards. Let's imagine you have 2 of these 6 cards, for example. You can play them both, and you will gain 9 action points in the end out of that. So that's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to play this card, and it's my home card, so, well, I'm going to just turn it around because I get it back in the next turn. And that gives me now 6 points. And yeah, the question is now, what do I want to do here? Well, let's see how many units there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or something. So as long as the force in here is only a third of the attacking force, I could do an automatic evasion into the city. That might even be worth it. So I might consider one of these guys costs me 4. That's a bowman, that would cost me 4. And then I have 2 left. Well, I could also hire this guy here, the chariot, for 2 more. Yeah, I think I want to do that. So I'm going to hire these 2 units and place them here. Now I guess the force is a little too big for an automatic evasion. Still might be a good idea. Okay, so but then again, chariots, do they count as bowmen? Good question. Yeah, I think when defending a city, a chariot counts as a bow unit. So that should be fine. It doesn't say bowman, it says simply defending bow units. So a chariot might be useful here. Okay, so that means I'm also done with Urartu here. And well, now, by the way, Sargon could do an interception now, because when a unit is bought and somehow appears on a map, that means you can actually do an interception. But I think it's not possible if there already was a unit there before. Yeah, and that's the case here, so you can't do it. So we go on and... wait a second. Syria, yeah. Phrygia is not active. Persia is, though. So Persia is controlled by Assyria. And yeah, we have these two armies here. So let's see what happens. Okay, actually I realized I made a few more mistakes. And it's about this combat here. And that's pretty bad. Maybe I can fix it. Let's see. First mistake was I forgot there is a river here. And if you cross the river, you get the defender gets a +1 die, and in addition, if you have heavy units on your side, they get a -1, but luckily we didn't have one. So yeah, let's give this die to the Persians now, and that's a 3, so that's another hit that we have to take. And okay, let's say we lose this guy. I'm not sure. Maybe not. I think I want to lose this guy. Or flip it. Okay, and then I use this disorganization rule. But that's not true. Because I thought if multiple armies are in an area, it comes to disorganization. That only happens if these armies are of different countries. At least that's how I see it. Huh. That's kind of weird. Okay, so the rules are actually not really clear about that. They say it's not allowed that an army can contain contain 2 leaders. So I guess there is actually disorganization if there are 2 leaders, and no matter if it's from the same country or not, if they are not in an army group. I'm not sure about that, but that's how I'm going to play it. So, one thing I couldn't find out, what happens if... I mean... shit, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'm considering... Well, first I'm going to play this card. So, the Ashur Fanatics. That gives me 5 points. Okay, we have an eco value of 1, I guess. Yeah, it looks pretty much like it. So, we are at 6 points now. And what do I want to do with these 6 points? I might simply hire some units and then await the enemy here in West Persia. That might make the most sense. So let's see what we got here. Well, we have this guy who would get him for 1.5. I think that's what I'm going to do. Okay, then I will move with 1 leader to North Persia, because I simply don't want 2 leaders in the area here. So I'm down 2.5 points now. I want to bring in this bowman down here. It costs me another point. Okay, there we go. Now I got, okay, 6, 1.5, 2.5. I got 2.5 points left now. That's not enough to hire one of my units. So I'm going to save 2 points, I guess. That's all I can do. And yeah. Okay. Let's form a nice little stack here. Okay. That's not going to be so easy for the attackers to kill me there. Although it's also not going to be that hard. Okay, the Cimmerians are not active, the Scythians also are not active. And that means now we start again now with the second impulse round. So now we're going to move this, the second impulse round. And now something changes. From the second impulse round on, there is an opportunity of preemption. That means the player who has the most cards is allowed to do a preemption impulse. It's kind of a trumping or something. So in this case, Assyria has the most cards, and that's why this preemption marker here is placed on Assyria. And yeah, they could now say, hey, stop, I want to preempt, and then simply do an extra impulse. But one thing's important, during this impulse, they won't gain any income from their economy. They can only get action points from their cards. Another important restriction, you cannot preempt someone who has no cards. You can preempt an inactive miner, which is kind of weird, but it's written so in the rules. And possibly the most important thing, you cannot have two consecutive impulses. So I could not do my turn and then preempt meat, for example. That's not allowed. Okay, so that means right now Assyria can do another impulse, and we're going to do that, and let's see what happens. I'm not sure if I'm going to go through this now in all detail. We'll see. Okay, so what the Assyrians actually did, they healed all their units, not all of them actually, and that did cost them a lot of points. They paid 16 points to heal their units. Now they're really fit again, or nearly fit again, but still that was pretty expensive. I think it was necessary though, because if you want to fight, you need a good army, and therefore... So not too much happened during this impulse of Assyria. The Medes, well, what do they want to do? I think they want to move on here, try to capture Persia. So let's see. They have an economy of 5. And they saved 1 point. Well, Hard to tell. Okay, I guess what I want to do is, yeah, I'm going to play the Siege Specialists 3-point card for the points. So that brings me to 8. And I want to heal also some of these guys. So that's 2, that's 4. I can hire that mercenary for 1.5, so that is then actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So I only got now 1.5 points left. So I'm going to use that point to move into West Persia. Again, we got to cross a river, which would give the Persians another one, another point. And yeah, and then of course we're also in the mountains, so that's another advantage they gain. Now let's see. Persians are not that bad, so yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, we can now, well, we got this one here. First the bowman fight, exactly. So we got one bowman here and this horse bowman. So let's start with the standard one. That's a hit. The horse bowman also does a hit. So these are already 2 hits for the Persians. The other guys have also a horse bowman, 2 horse bowmen, and this mercenary. So let's start with the mercenary. That's a miss. And we got that level 3 horse bowman. And actually I made another mistake. I thought that in the mountains, attacking cavalry will have 1 less strength point. That's not correct. That only applies to chariots. So with these special abilities, it's a little tricky from time to time. Now, let's do that level 3 horsebowman, and he missed, and the level 4 horsebowman, great, he also missed. So that was a pretty bad start. For the Persians, for the Medes, they take 2 hits. So I guess they're going to eliminate this mercenary here. And now we come to the battle itself, and now let's see. These guys have now a lot of points here. 1, 2 units plus 3, so that's 5, plus 2 for the mountains, brings it to 7, plus 1 for the rivers. So they got 8 dice with a battle rating of 3. That was pretty bad. That's only a single hit. And then 3 more. That was much, much better. Okay, so they're doing pretty good until now. And then they have one, two, Yeah, and then they have one more die with this heavy cap, and that was a miss. And now let's see how the others are doing. Okay, they have one. For this guy, that was a miss. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 dice with the light infantry. That's not looking really good, I think. And they were all misses. Oh my goodness, I'm afraid we're losing our army here. And then we have 1, 2, 4 dice with a strength of 3. And these were 2 hits. That sucked pretty badly. And that's it. So the Persians take 2 hits, and I'm going to flip that one. And, well, I guess this guy here. And the other guys take 4 hits. It's just bad. So they're going to lose, let's say, well, I guess we're going to kill some mercenaries here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And then we have the routing, and that means there are no routes on the Persian side. But we have now overall 6 hits on the meat side, so that means there are 3 routes there. So I guess I'm gonna remove these 3 units, place them all in the regroup box. The rest of the force will then retreat into South Persia, and yeah, that was a pretty bad situation. Okay, I made another mistake. I should have left a unit in South Persia, because then it would have been a friendly controlled area. Now it's an enemy controlled area, and if I retreat in this then I suffer attrition. And I cannot retreat here to Elam, for example, because I'm neutral. So this is also not a friendly area. And I would have had to declare war then to Elam if I want to retreat there. So in this case I got to go back to South Persia, but I suffer attrition here. So let's see, first for the mercenary, then the bowman, and the other guy, 3 unit, and this one. Okay, they're all fine. A 6 would have given me a loss here, or a hit. Okay, that sucked pretty bad, and the Persians are still in a really good shape. So it might make sense now for the Assyrians to try to form an alliance with Persia, and then maybe grab these forces, and maybe they can do something interesting with them. And this is actually something the Assyrians really want to do. So they're going to do now, they're going to try a preemption now, because now Persia is a valuable ally. They have a really neat force there, and There are only 2 spaces away from this allied status. So they're going to use their preemption ability now and throw a card in. And I think I'm going to use here the harvest card. No, that is not very clever. 3. Yeah, I guess I prefer to use the Crown Prince here. Now remember, I don't get any income from my economy track here. So all I have is I can only use the income I get from the card. Let's see, 2, 1, 2, yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to use this 5-point card. That gives me 5 action points. Let's remove this shit. And I'm going to use these action points to influence Persia diplomatically. And I haven't talked about that. The only way we did that until now was by using these cards. You can also do diplomatic actions with your action points. You can only spend up to 6 action points for diplomatic actions per turn, no more. If you use a card and the effect of a card is less than 6, you can spend additional points up to 6. So basically you can move these things up to 6 spaces per turn. If it happens to a card, due to a card that it moves more than 6 spaces, then it's fine, but only because of a card. So, and the only way you can move these things is you can move them either up on your track or down on another's track. It could be a reasonable idea if someone is allied with another one to move, for example, a miner up the track of the ally. But that is not allowed. You can only move him up your own track. In addition, you cannot influence a miner you're at war with. Okay? So let's spend 2 points and bring this guy to allied status. And now there's another thing. You cannot influence a miner that is allied with another power. So now the Persians are kind of safe ally. Nobody else can now simply spend a point and move them back 1 space. That's not allowed. Once you're allied, they stay allied unless you play such an alliance breaker card as we have it. Well, we have seen these things already. For example, here, the Scythian alliance moved the Scythian marker 2d6 steps on the diplomatic track. Here we are pretty free. You can do it any way you want, I think, and you can use it as an alliance breaker, so to influence that power, even if it has an alliance with another power. So now we are allied. Now what we can do is I think I made a mistake here. Shit. Yeah. Well, it's not that bad anyway. Okay, I'm going to move up here now. 1 space, 2 spaces, and I'm going to take these guys into my army group. And this doesn't work. Now I see, because if an army group moves, you have to spend movement points for every army inside that army group. So if I want to move now from here to here with that army group, that would cost me actually 2 movement points. And I only have 3 points left, so yeah, I kind of forgot about that. That kind of sucks now. So what do I want to do? I kind of want to stay in this area to prevent the Babylonians from entering here. On the other hand, I could try an interception if they really want to move out of Babylon. Yes, I guess I'm going to actually move back here now. But I think I want to leave one unit behind here in Deloran, just to keep control over that space. And then I'm going to move in here, and that costs me 2 more points. So I got now 1 point left. Oh, actually I saved a point, so I might have used that to move there, but then I could not do an interception anymore if Babylon moves into here. So I think I'm going to save that last point. That leaves me now with 2 points, and that's the end of the interception. By the way, that's the end of the preemption. And by the way, I said the power with the most cards can preempt. Now, if more powers have the same number of cards, then no preemption is allowed. And that might be possible now, that because Babylon has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh shit! Actually, I think this preemption was illegal anyway. Yeah, it was. Oh man. Well, whatever. I'm gonna leave it now. And now the Babylons have actually the option to preempt. But as soon as they played a card, they're also down to 7, and then we're going to flip this marker to no preemption possible. Okay, I'm going to fix that. I'm not going to cheat here. I'll move these suckers back, and Persia is down here at 11. They get their card back. And that's it. It's not a big deal. So that means now preemption is not allowed at that moment until Babylon has played a card. So next in line is Egypt. Okay, Egypt is going to play the Pass Impulse card. Skip this impulse. In the next impulse only, your income is equal to twice your eco level plus 2. This event may not be combined with or changed into a plus card and cannot be used if you did anything in this impulse before playing it. If the current game turn ends while this is in effect, the event will be resolved in the next game turn. Keep this card visibly on the table as a reminder until your next impulse. Yeah, that's fine. Egypt is in no hurry, so they can play that card and then use it later. That's not that easy because they actually borrowed something. Yeah, okay. So they can't do it because if they cannot repay their debts, they're gonna have some trouble. So therefore, I actually have to do this now, and I can do this. I can play that card in a later turn, I guess. So I think for now, I'm simply going to play the Artificial Flood. And then I end up with 7 points. I can repay that borrowed point, so that brings me down to 6. And then I can hire some mercenaries. Actually, I could hire, let's see, that's 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, why not? We're going to use all these guys. Okay, that's cool. And then, no, that's not how I do it. I'm actually going to use only one of them. I'm hiring only these. Then I'm going to bring this guy here into the raid box. That costs 1. And then I'm going to activate this raider. I cannot activate them both because the one that goes into the raid box in this impulse cannot be activated in the same impulse. So right now I'm going to activate this guy here. Let's see. Roll a die. Shit. That's a 6. So that means we're not allowed. The raid failed, and yeah, nothing happens, and we've lost all our points. Great. So it's the Babylonians now, and they're going to gain an income of 7. And they play the Palace Intrigue. It costs them 1 point to play. And by the way, I forgot about that. They gain an additional economy and an additional point because of the Babylon market. That's kind of cool. Okay, so that means they can now play the Palace Intrigue, move any minus diplomatic worker 1d6 steps on the diplomatic track. Cannot be used to break an alliance. So because they already see, hey, the Persians are getting pretty strong here, they decide to move the Persians away from the Assyrians. So let's hope for a good roll here. Wow! Oh, that sucks for the Assyrians. So that marker goes down now to a 5. That's really painful. Okay, so that was pretty good. Now, let's see, we have 7 points left now. And yeah, what do I want to do? Trade this turn. That's kind of weird. Double Babylonian trade this turn. Well, okay. So I might consider placing that ship in the trade box. There's still room for 1 ship. So I think that sounds like a good idea. It costs $1. But I'm not sure what else I want to do actually. Could also try to get some raiders here into the raid box, but that means I would have to hire some units. That's kind of expensive. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire the light cav for 3, for 6, and I'm going to place him. Well, I think for now I'm going to place him here, and then in the next turn, it sucks. I could bring him in here. Is it really worth it? Yeah, I think I'm actually going to do it that way. Okay, so that was Babylon, right? And now I think Assyria could preempt. Do they want to do it? I don't think so. Elam. Okay, so in addition to this card here, which gave him 4 points, and Elam hired basically some bowmen and brought 1 really good bowman here into the raid box. He plays one of his home cards with a plus down here. The Asylum, that's a pretty cool card. Remove 2 D3 target mercenaries under Elamite control and replace them with regulars. If no equivalent regulars are available, use those most similar to the mercenaries. That's really great. So I'm going to play that card, and I only have these 4 mercenaries, so I can... I'm not sure. Let's see. What do I... Okay, I can only change 3 of them. So I'm gonna... I think I want to actually remove these, so I can hire an additional bowman, maybe in a future turn. And that gives me 2 of these guys. And that one here. And that's a really cool card and a really great way to get regular units, because obviously the mercenaries are much cheaper than the standard units. So this Asylum card is really kind of cool. And we still got this one here. Okay, so let's come now to the minors, and Elam actually has 2 points left. Huh. I wonder if what I can do with these points. Well, I think actually this force was here and not there. I made a mistake here. So I'm thinking about... Do I have another ship? Shit, I don't. Nope. Huh. Well, I guess then I'm simply going to save my points. I could think about... Maybe I can actually... try to influence another power. Well, I could try to influence Persia. If they would be on my side, that would be kind of cool. But it's not easy to get them there, right? Still, I think I want them more on my side, so I'm going to pay the last... Yeah, I think I want to pay the last 2 points here to influence Persia, bring them into this neutral area. Yeah, okay. Okay, now that I play this, that I come to Israel, I realized I forgot to, during the Assyrian turn, I forgot to do this hunger siege here. Well, anyway, first thing that happens is the Assyrians have to pillage, and yeah, let's bring this to an end now. I forgot that. We're going to do that. Now, as this hunger siege marker goes up, it doesn't cost any actions for the Assyrians to do that. The Israelites could now do a sortie, and that's what we're going to do here. I mean, chances are very low here. I think that the special abilities, I'm not sure, do they apply or not? There we go. Dup, dup, dup. It is like a standard field battle, but there are no routes. Okay, so the special abilities seem to apply here. That means we have one bowman here. Oh, that's a hit. So in this case, I guess the defenders are actually the Assyrians. We have also a bowman on the Assyrian side, and that was a miss. So I think this guy's going to take that first hit. And now let's see, we have this single unit there, which only has a 1. That was a miss, and now the Assyrians, they have now, wow, okay, they got these 3 heavy units. 1 heavy cav, 2 heavy infantry. And I might have forgotten this up here with the army of Sargon. A heavy unit, if it rolls a 2, it inflicts 2 hits. I simply forgot about that. So let's roll these 3 dice now for these 3 heavies. Okay, so these are 2 hits, 4 hits. That's enough to wipe out the army. So they're all gone. And that means... yeah, what exactly does it mean now? I'm not so sure. I guess it means the city now is taken. Pretty sure about that, but that's... it only says here... let's see. If the defender's score hits equal to or higher than the besiegers, the siege is lifted and the besiegers must retreat. I'm not sure what that means, actually. Well, maybe it doesn't mean that. Hard to tell. Now that is really interesting. Basically, I think it does not mean that the city is automatically taken. I think it simply means, let's assume there would be survivors, they would retreat into the city. And that's it. If there are no survivors, I guess the city still has its 2 defense points, and that's it. But because we did this hunger siege, the city is now fallen. So now the city is under control of Assyria, and that means they gain victory points for that. And it was a level 2 city, I guess, was it? Pretty sure about that. Yeah, but there was a garrison inside, and it was a capital, and it was a fortress. Now let's see, take fortress, blah blah blah. No, that's no additional point. Take city with 1, with garrison is 1. Take capital 1 plus above. So that should give them now 2 points, I guess. Yeah, okay. So 2 more points for Assyria. They're at 5. And the only one who has a victory point is actually the Medes. So in this point here, we would now come to one of these sudden end checks, if that would be the interface. Okay, so we keep this pillage marker here, and now it's actually Israel's turn, or impulse. They're going to play this card here for the points. They have to do something, sadly. So they're going to play their home card, and they're going to hire another guy in here, Megiddo, but I'm pretty sure resistance is futile here. Okay, we move on. Judah is inactive, so is Syria. What about Urartu? Well, they're up here. They're in a pretty bad shape. Basically, they can't do anything. They've played all their cards. So they have no cards in their hand. Well, if you don't have a card in your hand, you still gain your income, and you have to save that income until you have 5 points saved, and then you have to buy a new card for 5 points. And that's the only time you can buy a new card. You gotta pay your 5 points, draw a new card from the deck, and then you gotta play that card and do an impulse. So that's exactly what we're gonna see now. They have a positive income here of 1, so that means they can save 1 point. We're gonna place that point here, and if we should see 4 more impulses, then, or impulse rounds, they will end up with 5 points, and then they can buy a new card which they can play then. Apart from that, there's nothing they can do right now. Okay, next is Persia, and Persia is actually really doing well. So the interesting point is, though, now Persia is controlled by the rebel camp. During the first turn, because these guys are neutral and they always alternate, the control of them alternates. So in the first impulse, they were controlled by Assyria, and now they are controlled by the rebels. And I mean, they cannot declare war. These are things you cannot do. You cannot declare war, do some diplomatic stuff or things like that. So, you know, I really don't know. I mean, what we could do, obviously, is, you know, if we want to keep them weak, we could simply say, okay, we play that 6-point card and move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and move them a few times here and there, and just burn their points. But that kind of sucks, right? So I'm not sure how bad you can play these other powers if you control them. Let's see if there is some kind of rule. I know there is a rule for the nomads. I know that the nomads, there's a rule that you're not allowed to to play to their disadvantage. There is not exactly a rule for the miners, but to be honest, I assume it makes sense to say, okay, we also want to play to their advantage, or at least not completely screw them up. So if I control them now, I think what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to play them aggressively. I'm not going to attack, for example, here, the Medes, but I'm going to give them additional troops, for example, you know, and not simply completely burn their points. So they end up now with 8 points. They have to play that card. That's their home card for 6 points. They save 2, so that brings them to 8. And yeah, as I said, I don't want to play too much for the disadvantage of the Medes, but I also don't want to screw up the Persians too badly. So that means what I'm going to do is I'm going to hire simply some units here. Yeah, probably these 2. And, well, I'm going to place them over here. Okay. It's not a great move, but I think it is still, you know, kind of fair. It's not completely terrible. Okay. So, how many units are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, Honestly, I think it would be more fair. I don't know. Nah, it's okay. We'll leave it that way. Okay. And then the marker moves on. We've gone through another impulse round and we're doing a little better now. Actually, I'm getting now more and more into this game. And it doesn't seem that terribly complex anymore now to me. But basically what we've seen in this impulse round was this kind of preparing for the clash, right? I mean, the Assyrians have more or less just recovered, the others hired units, and so not too much happened apart from this really bad battle here for the Medes. Okay, I think I'm going to load this up now, and well, actually, I could have hired these suckers. Yeah, I should have done that, I guess. Instead of hiring this guy for 4, I can hire these 2 guys for 2 and then heal this one for 2 additional. That's much better. Yeah, okay. Fine. So, as I said, I'm going to load this up now. And yeah, hope to see you on the next video or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.